You think about our stories. Pat came from humble beginnings. Alexi, from an immigrant family. Me, you guys know my background. We didn't come to the scene. We didn't come to the scene with a silver spoon in our mouths here. Our families worked hard, and they knew that government doesn't have all the answers to our problems. We believe government has to be lean and efficient. We believe that free enterprise is the greatest engine for prosperity ever known to man. But in the words of the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, we also believe that government should and must do for the people what they cannot do by themselves individually. We believe in America that rewards hard work and responsibility for everybody and creates ladders of opportunity. We believe in a country where we look after one another, where we say, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. That's the America we believe in. That's the America we know. That's the choice in this election. We believe in an America that invests in its future and in its people. We believe in an America that's built to compete in the 21st century. We know the jobs and businesses of tomorrow will end up in the countries that have the best educational system, the best infrastructure, the strongest commitment to research and technology. I want that nation to be the United States of America. There's no reason why China should have the fastest railroads or Singapore have better airports. We're the nation that built the Transcontinental Railroad right through Chicago. We're the nation that built the interstate highway system right through Chicago. Today, we're seeing America put folks to work, thousands of people building new roads and railways and runways, because that's what America's about. We build. An America where we build an infrastructure for the 21st century, putting people back to work, doing the work that needs to be done. We see an America where we invest in homegrown innovation and ingenuity, where we export goods. We don't just import goods, where we create jobs here at home, where we make it easier for somebody with a good idea to start a business or patent an invention. We don't want to keep on giving tax breaks to corporations that ship jobs overseas. We want to give tax breaks to companies that are investing right here in Illinois, right here in the Midwest, all across America, investing in small businesses and American manufacturers and clean energy companies. We don't want solar panels and wind turbines and electric cars made in Asia or in Europe. We want them made here in America by American workers. That's the choice in this election. We see an America where every citizen has the skills and the training to compete with any worker in the world. We can't allow other countries to outpace us when it comes to math and science. And our college graduation rates, we used to be #1 in college graduation rates. We used to be #1 in math and #1 in science, and now we're 9th in college graduation rates, 21st in math, 25th in science. That's not acceptable. And that's why we, over the last 2 years, made historic investments in education. That's why we set a goal. By 2020, we are going to be #1 again in the proportion of college graduates. And we didn't just talk about it. We put our money where our mouth was. And we stopped providing subsidies to the big banks and poured tens of billions of dollars into student loans and Pell Grants to make college more affordable for students all across this country. Millions of young people are seeing college more affordable because of the actions we took. And now we've got the other side saying that to pay for a $700 billion tax cut that would go to the top 2%, the wealthiest 2%, they want to cut education by 20%. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Do you think China's cutting back education spending by 20%? You think Germany is cutting back education spending by 20%? Those countries aren't playing for second place. And we don't play for second place. This is the United States of America. We play for first place. That's the choice in this election. That's what this election's all about. That's why we have to continue to provide assistance to young people going to college. That's why we have to renew the tax credit. We've instituted $10,000 per young person who's going to college for 4 years, so that they're not loaded down with a mountain of debt. And they can aspire to anything that their imagination leads them to. That's what this election is about. Look, this election is also about not leaving a mountain of debt for the next generation. The other side talks a good game about deficits, except you will recall that the last time they were in charge, they took record surpluses from a Democratic president and left record deficits that I inherited. And so when we make decisions about deficits, we're not going to do it on the shoulders, on the backs of students or seniors or veterans or the vulnerable. We're going to make sure that we do it in a sensible way that shares sacrifices. We're going to go after those deficits, but we're going to do it in a way that's fair and reflects the need to grow this economy over the long term. And that's what this election is about. And this election is making sure that we don't turn the keys back to the special interests in Washington. You know, when we passed health care reform, let me tell you something. We did that because all across this country, there were folks, hard-working folks, who paid their insurance premiums and then suddenly found insurance companies dropping them when they got sick. Or folks who were working hard and wanted to get insurance but had a pre-existing condition and couldn't get it. And so we said, anybody in America who is working hard, who's doing the right thing, they shouldn't go bankrupt when they get sick. And so we passed a law that made sure that insurance companies could no longer drop you when you got sick. We passed a law that said everybody under the age of 26 could stay on their parents' health insurance. We passed a law to make sure that 30 million folks can get affordable, accessible insurance, and we did it in a way that will reduce our deficit by over $1 trillion. And now the other side says they want to roll that back. The same thing is true for financial reform. We just went through the worst crisis since the 1930s. And so we passed a bill that says you can't be cheated by your credit card company. They can't jack up your rates for no reason. That we're not going to have taxpayer bailouts again. And they said their number one priority, they want to roll this back. So look, we've got a lot of work to do, not only to move the country forward, but to make sure that the progress we've made continues. And we need to work together, Democrats and Republicans, to get it done. But I've got to tell you, the other side, right now, they're feeling kind of cocky, and they don't see it that way. The Republican leader of the House says that, quote, this is not a time for compromise. The Republican leader of the Senate said that his main goal over the next 2 years, his number one priority, is to beat me in the next election. I mean, keep in mind, he didn't say his number one priority was put more people back to work, help more small businesses succeed. It wasn't to reduce the deficit. His top priority was to win the next election We haven't even finished this election yet. But that's the kind of cynicism we're fighting. That's the kind of politics that we decided to change in this country. The kind of politics that puts scoring points ahead of solving problems. And that's where you come in. And I want to speak not just to Chicago, I want to speak to everybody in Illinois. The only way to fight this cynicism, the only way to match the millions of dollars of special interest money, all that money that's being poured in as attack ads against Alexei, against Pat, the only way to do it is with your voices. The millions of voices who are ready to finish what we started in 2008. We need you to get out and vote. But we need you more than that. We need you to work to help get everybody out to vote. Because if everybody who fought for change in 2008 shows up in 2010, we will win this election. And you know, a lot of you got involved in 2008 because you believed we were at a defining moment in our history. A lot of you believed that this was a time when the decisions we made about the challenges we face wouldn't just affect us, they'd affect our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. That's why you knocked on those doors. That's why you made those phone calls. That's why you cast, in some cases, your votes for the very first time, because you understood what was at stake. And now, 2 years later, I know that some of the excitement that we had in Grant Park, you know, that fades away. Some of the excitement of Inauguration Day, you know, Beyonce was singing and Bono was up there and everybody was feeling good. I know that good feeling starts slipping away. And you talk to your friends who are out of work. You see somebody lose their home, and it gets you discouraged. And then you see all these TV ads and all the talking heads on TV, and everything just feels negative. And maybe some of you, maybe you stop believing. Maybe you lose faith. But I want everybody here to understand. Don't let anybody tell you that this fight hasn't been worth it. Don't let them tell you that you haven't already made a difference. Because of you, there's a woman somewhere in Illinois who doesn't have to choose between losing her home and treating her cancer. Because of you, somewhere here in Illinois, there's a parent who can look their child in the eye and say, you are going to go to college, we can afford it. Because of you, somewhere in Illinois, there's a small business owner who was able to keep their doors open and keep all the families that were supported by jobs at that business, keep that company going. Because of you, somewhere in Illinois, there is an outstanding veteran, one of the hundreds of thousands brave men and women who are no longer at war in Iraq because of you. So don't let folks tell you that change isn't possible. Don't let them get you down. I know things are hard sometimes, but you know what? This country was founded on hard. You know, this country started 13 colonies who folks said didn't have a chance against the British Empire. And then they drafted this document with ideas that had never been tried before. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. That among these are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. But even after they drafted those documents, it was still hard. And we had to abolish slavery. And we had to win women the right to vote. And we had to win workers the right to organize. We had to battle through depression and the war against fascism.